Welcome, 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 everyone, to Make It Make Sense with Monique Pressley. I'm your host, Monique Pressley, and it's just really exciting for you to be here with us again for what's going to be another great, informative, inspirational show with news you can use. As you can see, I'm not even there yet. Getting my voice fully back from all the excitement that was this past Friday. You can look at yesterday's show to figure that out. But excited today for Wellness Wednesday. Woohoo! I am not the best at everything wellness and everything health, but I work really hard at it. I work really hard at honoring my physical temple, at knowing the best information possible. And part of what we've done here so far is brought you lots of information concerning COVID and COVID protocols and what our physical health should be about that, and concerning mental health, emotional stressors, anxiety. We've had multiple experts about that. But now we want to talk about our physical temples and what we put in them, what we're supposed to and what we're supposed to get out of it. And we have, as I said, the best. We're giving you the best. So our guest today, and I know she's already waiting in the wings to come out and take center stage, is Dr. Rovenia Brock. She's known as Dr. Ro. So it's Ro and Mo today. She is a nutritionist who is an expert in emotional eating, emotional nutrition. She is a multi-time author. She has been on every program you can think of, including today, Make It Make Sense with Monique Pressley. So let me just go ahead and welcome her so she can get us together and make it make sense.
Hi.
Greetings. Greetings.
It's great to be with you.
You know what? It's great to have you. I'm trying to get my camera right. There we go. I think I'm straight now. It's so great because, I've seen you on so many other things, and I was excited when I learned that my very talented, persistent, and visionary booking producer was able to bring you to us, because I kept saying, let's talk about our bodies, right? Let's talk about, especially so-called coming out of everything that we've come out of with the pandemic, but really we're still kind of working our way through.
Yeah, because we're not out yet.
we are not out. We act, sis. We act like we out. Some of us, lots of us, but we're not out, and it matters all the more what we put in, and knowing the who, the what, the where, the when, the why of that mattering, and getting us probably back on track, because the quarantine portion of the pandemic was a war on the body for so many. And so if we weren't doing good before, it probably ended up worse. If we were doing good before, it might not have come out better. So I'm just thankful for you and for everything that you've just been doing for us, and am happy to welcome you here today. So you, I know, are an expert in so many areas of the way that and I was watching you on a program, and I can't even remember now, what was that? What were you on? But I think what struck me about you is you tell it like it is. It's no cut card, it's no chaser with it, and I think we need that. So if you could just assess where we are now, not globally, but maybe starting first in this country, and where we should be aiming to go.
In terms of our health.
Yeah.
So we are in a pickle right now. We are not in our best shape. And if the pandemic taught us anything, it is that we are a sick country. We are a sick country. There are many people who are walking around with chronic diseases inside of them, and they don't know. They don't even know. So you could be walking around with diabetes or lung issue or even something as dastardly as cancer. So the point is, we have to pay attention. We have to listen to our bodies. We have to listen to the cues that our bodies give us, because the fact is, as a country, we are sick, right?
Yeah. Well, and one second, I want to, so we can get you right. I can only see your head and your lovely china cabinet. So if you can maybe lower it a little bit so we can get a little bit more of your body when the magic elves, yes, when the magic elves convert this to YouTube, I don't want it to just be like you're a bodiless.
You don't want me to be like Max Headroom.
And I love that yellow. Oh, yellow's one of my favorite colors. So that's great. So continue. We're sick. We're sick.
We are. We're a sick country. I mean, that doesn't mean that we can't. That doesn't mean that we can't change, that we can't turn things around. We absolutely can. But, I think it's important to know that we are a sick country. We really are. And as soon as I get my, okay, here we go. So sorry about that.
No worries.
Okay, better.
So
we are a sick country. The good news is we can turn it around. We can get better, right? But we need to acknowledge that, hey, we've got some issues as a country. Obesity is at the center, and especially for Black America. We've got a lot of issues, chronic diseases that come together in what's called clusters, right? For Black folks, somebody might have hypertension or high blood pressure, but that person may also have kidney issues or kidney disease. That person could also have diabetes, type 2 diabetes, which is, managed by diet and exercise, right? And sometimes an oral hyperglycemic or medicine that you take by mouth. All that to say, we are not a problem people. We are a people with problems.
People with problems.
We are people with problems.
For you to narrow it down to our community, because I know the numbers for us, disproportionately high for obesity, disproportionately high Black women, heart disease, number one in the freaking world, disproportionately high, for diabetes, for high cholesterol and pressure issues, all those things. And there's so many things that are wrapped into it. We had actually Dr. Rachel Villanueva on yesterday, current president of National Medical Association. And so she was talking about some of those things and how you can't say, is this one thing that are people with these problems? It's a cluster of things. I was going to say cluster beep, but I won't. It's a cluster of things, but some of it is cultural. And recently, I am 30 pounds lighter, actually, as of today. And when I had the 30 pounds on, I didn't look like a person who was 30 pounds over. But I know where I'm at, what I call fighting weight, right? And I know what happens to me in my body and how I feel when I, and so in the past 6 months, I've dropped that weight. And I had friends and saying, girl, you looked good already. And I had guys saying, ooh, but you're going to lose all the whatever. And I'm like, baby, don't come here with that, because I want to live.
Right.
And they don't I want to live a long time. And so talk about just our community and how we get our thinking together.
Well, I need to say this, because you talked about the guy's response to your weight loss and how you were going to, in other words, you would no longer be desirable or as desirable as you have been. And I have to say, my husband is one of those guys, and he's a physician, but it doesn't matter. But he tells me, if I lose my booty, I'm going to have to find somewhere else to live. So that said, so that's how brothers are thinking, right?
Yes.
But that's okay. I love the fact that you set out to lose weight because you wanted to live. And not only do you want to live, you want to live well,
yes.
right?
Live
you
well.
want to live well. You want
Yes.
to be, it's no good for me to get to be 90 or 100 if I'm in bad shape.
Yes.
You know what I mean? I want full control of my limbs. I want full control of my mind. I want to be able to do for myself. And I want to get some joy from life, right?
Yes.
Yes, yes. That's true for, I think, all of us, isn't it? So this whole business of longevity becomes an issue at 20. If you don't start taking care of yourself as a younger person, know this: your latter days are not going to be as great as you think they are, right?
Come on, preacher. Come on, preacher. If you want your latter to be better than your former, you better get it right now.
You want your latter days to be your best days, baby, you better start taking care of yourself right now. So wherever you are in the life cycle, if you're 20, 40, 60, it doesn't matter. You can do something now to change your fate, right?
Yes.
That's what I'm here.
What is it that let's take our I think I want to start with you with a teen, because the younger the better. And we're parenting teens that or even adolescents that have more weight than they should. What should be happening for them so that they don't turn into adults that have 100 pounds to drop?
Right. Okay.
And all kinds of comorbidities.
And black and brown teens, just as black and brown adults, tend to have more comorbidities. All of those diseases coming in clusters, those pre-existing diseases, those chronic diseases than other groups, right? That's just a fact. However, if you were a teen, if we're talking about helping teens, one of the things you got to do is change your diet. Just because it's convenient to run to fast food, or just because you like drinking blue juice and green juice and sweet tea, hey, Alabama and Georgia, just because you like that doesn't necessarily mean that that's the best choice for you. So I would ask everyone in the entire life cycle, because the way that I'm asking for the most part for people to eat and for people to live their lives, you know, it's good from the rooter to the tutor, as they says my grandfather used to say. You know, it's good
from the cradle to the grave.
That's right. It's good for youth, and it's good for you, that same person in adulthood. We have to cut the sweet drinks, right? And you can't drink your diet. Do you understand? You can't drink your way to good health. You can drink your way to poor health, though. Okay? So because if you have more sugar in a meal or in a drink than you do nutrients, you got to make some different choices. We have to make different choices. So water over Kool-Aid, water over, you know, whatever your choice is, whether it's soda or sweetened tea. I mean, you know, sweet tea, not just sweetened tea. Because sweet tea, you know, in the South has about a cup of sugar per serving. So, you know, you've got to make some different changes there. So also you want to make sure, and you know, this is a soapbox. Some people might say that I'm on, but I'm constantly begging folks to include more vegetables and fruit in their diet. Yes, you got to get the vegetables and fruit. The reason is because the color, those pigments in the vegetables and fruit that give them their color actually contain chemical compounds that go a long way to save your life and to prevent the diseases that we've been talking about: cancer, hypertension, heart disease, type 2 diabetes, and definitely obesity, right? If we're talking about obesity, we also got to make sure that we, you know, you got to eat reasonably. I'm not saying that you have to be on a special diet, though I have many of those, right? But you have to eat reasonably. So if we're talking, you got to watch your portions.
So you're saying smaller portions make for a longer life?
Smaller portions can definitely extend your life. And as a matter of fact, the older you become, the smaller your portions should be. because your body does not need the same level of calories at 60 or 50 or 40 even that it required at 20 and below. Yeah. Right? As a matter of fact, there's a whole world of research. The first guy that I know of that started it at UC Berkeley was Roy Walford. You know, he has a whole body of work, and there's a whole body of work by other scientists who are in the longevity, space. So longevity is improved when you, by using what's called caloric restriction, meaning, cutting your calories.
Yeah.
So you improve your chances for living longer and living better as you start, cutting calories.
But where do we start, Dr. Rowe? Because that's why I said looking at the teens, because by the time you are in your 20s and your 30s, you've been doing it a certain way for a long period of time. Like, one of the things I'm most thankful to my mother for is, in our house, the vegetables led every meal. We had meat, we had other good things, but I didn't get sugar cereals. I didn't have a lot of sodas. I had to go down the street to my grandmother's house and be real grateful, because I knew it was some grape soda waiting for me in the icebox in the garage. And that was like Christmas. I'm like running it away. But it was, my mom let me do it. She knew I had Frosted Flakes there. I had whatever there, because she's like, I got her at least 6 days out of 7.
Right.
So in the end, I'm going to win. And she did, because I raised my kids the same way. It's water. You want water with your lemon. You want water with your lime. You want water with your raspberry.
You want water with a little bit of fruit.
Right. I'm going to help you. But we get older, and we're not just set in our ways, but then when, a worldwide pandemic comes, our eating becomes emotional. It's not.
It doesn't, it did become emotional for a lot of people, but I got to tell you, Monique, it was already emotional for many people. I have coached scores of clients through the process of emotional eating. And that had nothing to do with the pandemic. It had everything to do with what happened to them early in life.
Yeah.
It has everything to do with a person's take on life, how you see yourself in the world, whether or not the world is hostile or friendly to you. And that's based on your experiences. So whatever you may have experienced as a child might still be there, okay? And most often it remains until it is resolved, right? So the way you process, and this happens for many clients, the way you process your feelings is through food. We use food to process our feelings, right? And it's not just women either. It's men too. There are many emotional. Yeah, I know many emotional eaters, both female and male. You see what I mean? So it's not something that's, germane to women, but
eaters as well as alcohol, which, depending on what alcohol it is completely sugar.
Yeah.
Depending on the way that you take it in.
All alcohol is made from sugar. In fact, alcohol is a sugar. Yeah. Chemically, alcohol is a sugar. So if you
and then you turn around and add simple syrup to it, add lemonade to it, add grape juice to it, add orange juice to it, and I'm like, add some sugar to your sugar.
Yeah.
And I love a good cocktail, so don't get me wrong. I'm the wrong one. I'll give up everything, but my ability to at some point have a cocktail. So I understand it, but I also know we're killing ourselves.
Yeah, we are, especially if we're consuming foods and beverages regularly, like on the regular, that don't work for us. So what we have to do is choose foods that are going to work for us. And what are they? It's produce. Get as much as you can in your diet, right? I'm talking 6 to 9 servings a day, which means you're eating more vegetables, and you make the meat or the fish, fish or poultry, the complement to the meal.
To the plate. Okay.
Yeah. Think of a stir fry. The most of it is vegetables, right?
Yeah.
And there's a small amount of meat, chicken or fish, right? So that becomes the complement to the meal, as opposed to this whole big brown and steak and potatoes thing, this brown and beige diet that we've been eating in America for too long. That's what got us here. That's what.
So what about these breads, this rice? What's going on with these?
I don't have a problem with bread or rice. If you like rice, I would ask you to consider having wild rice, black rice, red rice, brown rice. The reason is because all of them are higher in fiber, and you need the fiber for a healthy digestive system, right? It also can help to stave off your hunger later on in the day after that meal. You see what I mean? And it also fiber also helps to help you to stave off your cravings, if you have them, for sweet foods or lesser healthy carbohydrate foods.
Okay.
So I don't have a problem with that.
And what do we
I
do?
don't have a problem with you eating bread. If you are,
what kind of bread?
So if you are insulin resistant, that's the person who is 50 to 100 pounds overweight that walks past a chocolate chip cookie sitting on the counter, and it looks like when they eat it, a whole box just jumped into their body, right? That's the person who really does not handle processing, whose body doesn't process carbohydrates well, who doesn't have a healthy format for you to process carbohydrates. And believe it or not, this happens. This is true for more people than you might recognize, right? So, but if you are insulin resistant, or if you are sensitive to processing carbohydrates, then here's the thing: why not have sprouted grain breads and sprouted grain cereals? They're made by Ezekiel brand is one, but there are other sprouted grain brands on the market now. So Ezekiel brand cereals I like. And the reason is because they contain all of the grain, right? They contain the wheat, the husk, the germ, all of the grain. It's unprocessed. This is an unprocessed bread and cereal. So the super processed, like your white breads and some of the ones that look brown, but they're not really whole wheat, those are worse for you. You want unprocessed breads and cereals. And I like Ezekiel, but there are other ones on the market.
But Dr. Rowe, I'm a dig. I just got two more questions, but one of them is this: Ezekiel ain't cheap. No,
it is not.
Don't
let me see your nails and your hair done and complaining about the cost of your food. Okay.
And so it's decision making, right? Especially for the sisters, because if I gotta choose between some Ezekiel and my nails getting right, I mean, the devil might get me on that one. But here's my question, because I'm thinking about solutions. We know that so many people are living in food deserts, right? So you're saying put a whole bunch of vegetables on your plate. The corner store is right there. The carry out is right there. The grocery store is not right there. The Amish market is not right there. What do we do when we are living in these desert environments? That's my first question. And then my second question, you can answer both together or apart, is how do we trick our brains because if we know the right thing to do, but our emotions have led our decisions, is that therapy, or what do we do to make that change?
So what do we do about food deserts? If we happen to find ourselves in food deserts, which is something that weighs very heavily on my heart, it's a cause that I've taken up. There are other things. So why not form a food co-op with your neighbors? So hopefully you live in an apartment building or in a neighborhood, a community where you can get together with another family or other women in the community, or other people in the community, right? And then go to whether it's Costco, Sam's Club, whatever the store is where you can get the biggest discount. So I'm talking about go to discount markets, go to farmers markets, and buy in bulk. Everybody kind of chip in, you buy
Work
in bulk,
together. Yeah.
come
Okay.
back to one person's home and distribute the food accordingly. Because we've got to take care of ourselves, and we just can't throw caution to the wind or throw our hands up in the air and say, oh, well, we're just screwed. No, we're not. We have to take control. We have to take charge of our own lives. So I'm saying this is one way, because in the current moment, everybody is hurting. Food prices are 8% higher this week than they were last week. 8%.
Yeah.
That's insane. And
That
frankly, I don't believe it's all due to transport and, you know, how the food gets to us and all of that. A lot of people are taking advantage of this moment and charging higher prices. That is what's going on. So we've got to protect ourselves. So we got to work together as a community. Somebody said Aldi carries sprouted grain bread, and that's great. Because Aldi, you get better, you get a good buy. You don't recognize the brand names, but you get a good buy, right?
Yeah.
And a better buy at Aldi's. So you want to check, and you definitely want to check sales in your circular, in the papers for your grocery store, whatever you have, right? But if you don't have access to good food, living in a food desert, we got to find a way. Somebody in there has a car. Or we got to take an Uber or something to get there, pool the money, pool the groceries, buy in bulk. Don't be afraid don't worry about fresh produce. You don't have the money for fresh produce. Frozen is just as nutritious. In some instances, it's even more nutritious, believe it or not. So buy frozen produce for those things. Buy your fresh produce on sale. You got to watch the sales, you know, but we have to take control. We can't just throw our hands up and think we're dead. We're not going to die.
And that might be, you know, I'm always talking about entrepreneurship. There's opportunities. The wealth coach who comes to us, Deborah Owens, always talks about the opportunity in the volatility. Some of y'all, you might have a Costco card and a car and be living in an area where in a 16-20 block radius, there's no frozen, there's no fresh. Boom. Mm-hmm. That's your cash talking. That's your cash calling at you. You might need to make some money providing help to your community. You might need to get 2 partners, but okay, I'm off that soapbox. Go ahead, tell us about our emotions. How do we change our minds? I can't hear you.
So the first thing we have to do is what we feel. We got to recognize and acknowledge. Let me see. Okay. We have to recognize and acknowledge what we feel, right? Don't acknowledge our own feelings, right? We stuff them down under food. So if you're depressed, if you're frustrated, if you're sad, if you're lonely, if you feel forgotten, if you feel abandoned, whatever those feelings are, if you feel unloved and unworthy of love, because there are a lot of people walking around with these feelings inside of them, you would be surprised. So if you're having any of these feelings, anything that doesn't lift you and make you feel good, acknowledge it. Even acknowledge when you feel good. But if we're talking about a processing of your emotions, first you got to call it what it is. Okay. So you need the language to identify and name the emotion that you're experiencing in the moment. So once and let's just say the emotion, let's just say you feel lonely or you feel abandoned. Maybe as a child you were abandoned, and that was never addressed as you became adult. It was never addressed. So you see abandonment on everybody in every situation. You see what I mean? Yeah. So now you got to figure out for yourself, first of all, what do I feel right now? Why am I sad? Oh, I'm sad because I'm afraid. Why am I afraid? Yeah. Okay. I'm afraid because I'm afraid so-and-so is going to leave me. Why is that? Why are you having those feelings? Recognize and honor those feelings. Honor, and what I mean by that is you are a human being. Whatever you feel, you're entitled to it. You understand? Now, if it makes you feel badly, we need to address it. And
Right.
you mentioned therapy earlier. Therapy can be, a lot of people say, well, therapy is expensive, and it is. It can be. It's expensive emotionally for the therapist that's seeing, 100 people, 100. It's also, not only is it expensive financially, it's expensive emotionally. And here's the thing. So I just, I did a post this week. I think it was this week about vulnerability, right? And for Black women in particular, I feel like we haven't been using vulnerability as a way to process our feelings, and as a way to honor and to own what we feel, and as a way to soothe ourselves, as a way to really, cleanse ourselves of whatever the junk is that's in our mind. And I say that because I'm one of those women. Like it has been, before Brene Brown, it has been very difficult for me to be vulnerable. And here's why. I was raised by generations of Black women who didn't have time to be vulnerable. My mother was a single parent. She was busy working. She had a job. She had a business. So she was busy, making life work for us. You see what I mean?
For those of you who did not hear it, she said before Brene Brown. Look up the name Brene with an apostrophe over the E, Brown, and go to her TED Talk. Start there, her TED Talk on vulnerability, because you can get that for free. And then look at her books. And yes, I'm with you. Siphon it through the experience of the Black woman, where it's you can handle it. You've got it. Suck it up, chick. Everything is fine.
Yeah.
That's just life. I mean, all of the conditioning that we get about how suffering is just, and struggle is just supposed to be a part of our journey. When it's not.
Yeah, here's the thing.
If it hurts, I'm supposed to get to feel it.
Struggle is a part of life, right? And when I say that, it means there are things that come to make us stronger, right? And if you go through them, you'll find that you become stronger and better on the other side. So, everything is not going to be cake and roses, right? That's called life. But when we start talking about the strong Black women, and I saw someone had on a t-shirt yesterday that said strong Black women raise strong Black children. No, ma'am. No. We don't want to do this. We want you to be vulnerable. We want you to recognize and honor your vulnerability, and we want your children to do it too. We want Black boys, when we talk about Black boy joy, we want them to be able to cry without being told, shut up. I'll give you something to cry for, or shut up and be a man. He's not a man. He's a boy. Okay.
That's right.
And Black men need to also be able to honor their feelings. If you got a guy in your life that can't talk to you because he can't be vulnerable and he can't feel, you got a whole bunch of problems in your relationship. You see what I mean? Yeah. No, we have to honor the fact that we are human.
That's right.
As humans, we have feelings, and that our emotions are probably more important than our thinking, our cognitive thinking. The emotions come before the cognitive thinking, because you do some cognitive thinking every once in a while. And the more you say online, on social media, you're doing a far less cognitive thinking, right? But more thinking and less thinking and processing, it's more emotions. You feel more than you think, if that makes sense. So you feel more than you think.
It's work, and it's a journey. And I just want to remind people from some of the prior shows that we've had, we gave all kinds of resources for where you can get therapy that's not as expensive. You can get it through the government for free. If you need work on this or any other area, there is help available. So just go through my shows. I had Dr. Taylor Bryant Davis on here. We had Dr. Dion on here, just many different people to talk about those things. And now we're adding to it Dr. Rowe.
Dr. Thema.
Yep, we have Dr. Thema on here. And so many. So there are sources available, but you're one of our resources too. And you have a good friend in the background, I hear. But
I got two.
they want in on it. They're like, us too, us too. But,
somebody's coming. So they see someone.
But I just want for people to know where they can reach you. We have gone long for today, but all very, very good. So I'm appreciative of your time. And I hope you will come back. And I think it's, you guys can see her hashtag on here. It's the same on Twitter. And tell them what your website is so we can have fun.
So my website is everythingro.com. So everythingro.com. Go there. If you go to my Instagram page and just go to my profile, you get all the information right there. Yeah.
Excellent. Excellent. Well, thank you so much. We appreciate you coming and being with us. And please, please do plan to come back because there's so much more that we need to be discussing. And I just appreciate your time.
I look forward to it. Thanks for having me.
All right. Bye-bye. I am so appreciative, guys, that we were able to experience time with Dr. Rowe. Please do follow her and find out all you can about the information that she's offering. And just, you know, a little bit at a time, guys. You may feel like you have an entire hill to climb. Maybe you do have an entire hill to climb, but if you take no steps, for sure, you will not get there. So one step at a time, one day at a time. If you can't do a day, do an hour. If you can't do an hour, do a minute. If you can't do a minute, do a second. Either way, any way you can. Take it at the increments that make sense, that are possible for you. And we're going to be here every step of the way. So if you enjoy our programming, please support us. If you come here to find content that is fact-based, that is truthful, that is informative, that is inspirational, you can support us. I've got the Cash App pinned today. That's $Mo Press. But if you go to the link tree in my bio, then you'll see there how you can support through Business PayPal, or you can subscribe through Patreon. The other thing that I would like for you to do is subscribe to my YouTube channel. That's where all the full shows are available, and that is Monique Pressley TV. So if you are not subscribed, please subscribe and meet us here again tomorrow for another live show, noon Eastern, with news, information you can use that will make for a better, healthier, longer life. I appreciate you. I'll see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.